Dear students and distinguished audiences, welcome to Q&A talk show today. We were contacted with an intriguing question about the true contribution of SME in Vietnam. So the question is, we talk about a lot of SME and we heard about a lot of SME, but what about the micro and informal businesses? Are there any strategy for developing such firms which account for a larger proportion of the market in SME? So we know that micro and informal businesses, which fall below SMEs, also contribute to economic growth by providing employment and money for the sector. And also many jobs were created in this sector because there are many unemployed by larger corporations. So let's discuss this matter with Mr. Brian O'Reilly, Academic Coordinator of MBA program today, and thank you for being with us today. So you heard about the question, right? So can you explain the distinction between the micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Tu. Most of business in Vietnam would be micro enterprises, and I won't go into the technical details, but micro enterprises are the smallest of the three SMEs, which is, you've got medium enterprises, small enterprises, and micro enterprises. And I think the easiest way to describe them would be businesses with less than 10 people. So if you drive around Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi or any other place, you will see that it's full of what we call micro enterprises, and they're very, very important for the economy. But also what's happening now in the digital age, and we'll talk about that a bit more later, is a lot of the new innovative digital type industries are also micro SMEs, and they will contribute a lot in the future to, they are contributing now, but will contribute a lot in the future to the Vietnamese economy.
So, and you know that, so we have very clear distinction. And what are the economic benefits and drawbacks of each sector, particularly in Vietnam?
Okay, well, I'll just talk. I mean, obviously, the bigger the enterprise, the more resources you have, and the more that includes getting access to people and funds, etc. So, one of the advantages of the micro sector is they can be more entrepreneurial, innovative. You're dealing with a small number of people. However, some of the problems that are more serious as you get smaller are getting access to funds, getting the right people, having the knowledge that you need across a range of areas to be able to successfully run a business. And I think the advice I would give to people that are involved in micro businesses is you may be technically very good at what you're doing, so you might be brilliant at some aspect of IT, but do you know about finance? Do you know about human resource management, marketing, etc.? So there's a lot of skills that you need even for a small to medium enterprise.
You mean a lot about the differences and about the drawbacks and even the benefit. And is there any variation in the policy initiative of each sector in a typical economy? Is there anything to be learned from Vietnam, for example, in the development policies in Australia, in Germany, about this sector?
Well, again, I won't go into specific details, but in countries like Germany or Australia, many other countries, the government have a lot of incentive for people to start businesses and to realize, we talk about innovation and entrepreneurship, but getting people to generate new ideas and new businesses is very important. And if you look at, we'll say, Silicon Valley in the United States, even companies like Microsoft started off with a handful of people. So in the digital age, there's a lot of opportunities out there, and there's a lot of particularly younger Vietnamese people taking advantage of being able to set up a business virtually on your computer. From a government perspective, there are incentives, and the government is trying to help people with finance and maybe providing some grants. If you're interested, you can get all of that details. It's available in English, so it's definitely available in Vietnamese. But I would say that people looking at starting their own business, should look at all of the incentives that can be provided by government. One area that probably is quite strong in countries like Germany and Australia is the provision of training or skills for people in running their own businesses, and that can be done online or offline, but there's a lot of incentives there and a lot of help. In Australia and Germany, you've got federal systems, so you've got states and the federal government, and even the states provide a lot of support. So if you Google, we'll say any state government in Australia, you'd go in and you'll see that they have a lot of support for small to medium enterprises, not just in financial and advice, but also in things like business planning, how to access finance, etc. So Vietnam is doing that to a certain extent, but I think a lot more could be offered, particularly in the development of people in how to run an effective business.
So you are the MBA coordinator, especially in the SME sector. So can you give some advices for a micro and informal business in Vietnam about a business administration, marketing tool, something like that? Yeah.
Okay, well, I can say that, okay, I run the MBA program, which focuses on small to medium enterprises. I've also had both here and in Australia, a micro enterprise of my own, where I had my own very small business in consulting. However, in addition to what I do in the MBA, I'm also one of the committee members for the German Business Association Business Challenge. And quite recently, I also provided training on aspects of business planning to women entrepreneurs, and that was through the US consulate. So I'm not only working through the MBA, but many other areas. The advice I give to people is that, and I said this before, you may have a brilliant business idea, you may be technically great, but running a business isn't just about having the technical skills in whatever it is you're doing. You have to know how to manage people, you have to know about hiring and firing, about marketing, particularly marketing in the digital age, and of course financing, and where to get the best financing for your business. So running a business is quite a complex thing. There was a professor from Harvard University, and he was lecturing to his MBA students, and he asked his students, who here can cook a better hamburger than McDonald's? And nearly everybody put up their hands. And he said, well, why are you wasting your time in my class? Why aren't you out competing with McDonald's? So the bottom line, or the end of that story, is that McDonald's isn't just about cooking hamburgers. So if you have got a great idea, my advice to you is to learn about running a business. Do proper business plans. Make sure you identify the market, because if you don't have a market for what it is you're selling, it's great to be innovative and come up with new ideas, but entrepreneurship is about identifying a market and being able to deliver to that market with the quality and the price. And I'll just finish off on that, as Jack Welch, the most famous CEO of the last century and most successful, said, doing business is easy. You only need to get two things right. One is make a profit, and two is to keep your customers happy. Of course, there's a lot of work that goes on underneath.
So we mentioned about the hamburger, we mentioned American food. So we had a French chicken fry like KFC. So Vietnam is very famous about the food like phở or bánh mì. So do you think that in one day in the future we have some kind of a worldwide giant of the phở, or giant about the bánh mì brand in America, in Europe, like that? And what can we do to develop such kind of business worldwide?
Well, it's already happening. I mean, Vietnam I've been in Vietnam 20 years, and when I came to Vietnam first, it was basically everybody, when you went back to London or somewhere, or to Australia, people talked about a war. Now they talk about an economy, a great economy that's successful in so many ways. Even recently, and this is a very interesting story for Vietnam, with the problems with the fisheries in the UK. I was listening to this thing, and they talked about bass fish from Vietnam. So Vietnam is already penetrating international markets with quality goods, and I think the big opportunity for small enterprises in Vietnam are that Vietnam's global brand is very positive at the moment for many reasons, and of course with technology you can target markets all around the world. So Vietnam's already doing this, but you will see that there will be, in my lifetime, there will be international chains of pho, maybe banh mi, but generally Vietnamese food. Vietnamese coffee would be another example. But I think from the technology side, it's also Vietnamese technology that could be used across the globe.
Yeah, thank you for a very interesting discussion today. For the answer, just a more small question about the micro and informal business. So we will come back with Mr. Brian O'Reilly for next question. And thank you for watching the Q&A talk show today. Thank you.